Chapter 25. This starts with an email from Commander Dexter to U.S. Territorial Command. Message: Situation Report. October 1, 2019. After it was determined that our crew would not survive without the viral medication, it was decided that some of our members would seek aid from the French settlement. They had a supply of medication on hand and donated it to us. All crew members are currently healthy. The children have asked for a kitten. If you can find a way, it would be most appreciated. This has been a very trying time. Cy Dexter, Commander, Expeditionary and Settlement Team, U.S. Territory, Mars. Chapter 25. Situation Report. "Where's Albie?" Memes asked me when I came to supper. "He said he's not hungry," I told her. Concern flickered over her face. "Is he getting sick?" I wasn't sure. Could you get sick from love? "He's just listening to sad songs," I explained. I see," she said. "I'll take him a plate later." "Bonjour," Flossie said as she sat down at the table. She was wearing a French scarf around her neck. "Quoi de neuf?" Vera replied. "What does that mean?" Memes asked curiously. "What's up?" Vera explained. "My favorite slang is c'est top, which means that's great," Flossie said. The French have lots of cute phrases. Salty Bill started ladling a thick stew into our bowls. "Merci," Flossie chirped. I had a sudden thought. "We have to thank him," I said. "Thank who?" Trey asked. "Everyone. We should send thank you notes to the French and other countries that helped us," I said. "I don't know," Cy began, just as Meme said, "Well, what a lovely idea." "You're always telling us that we should send thank you notes. We send them to people we've never even met. How can we possibly not send them to people we know?" Vera argued. "That's just good manners." "They have a point," Eliana agreed. Cy didn't look happy. "All right. C'est top," Flossie said. Everyone, grown-ups and kids, wrote thank you notes. Albie's note to Layla looked more like a book. The next morning, Cy delivered them on the train to the various settlements. I discovered the plastic box a few days later. I was on dust duty, and it had been left on the platform in the train tunnel. And inside were letters for everyone. Flossie shrieked when she saw her pile, and Albie smiled so big that I thought he might tip over. I got 3 letters, from Tavi and Wei and Amelie. "Bonjour, Belle. How is Leo? I miss you. Tell Flossie the baby is still stinky. Mes amitiés, Amelie." Even Cy got a letter from Commander Laurent. He studied it for a long time. "What did she say?" I asked him. He cleared his throat. Advice on technical issues," he said in a neutral voice. "Dust remediation and such." Sounds exciting," I said. "Yes," he said. Soon we were exchanging notes with the other settlements every few days. Sometimes there were small gifts in the plastic box, a bottle of cinnamon, a soft knit hat, a pair of goggles with tinted lenses, a packet of seeds. But it wasn't just the letters and treats that made the difference. It was the feeling that we weren't alone anymore. We had friends who cared about us. Our world was so much bigger now. Tavi sent me drawings of cats, and Wei sent me funny jokes, and Amelie mostly sent me daily reports about the baby. She made a comic and called it The Daily Baby. "Today the baby pooped. Everyone cheered. And then the baby spit up. It was another exciting day with the bébé." She never failed to make me laugh. Now, the biggest surprise came a few days later. Someone, and we weren't sure who, sent us 4 ping pong paddles and a small bag of balls. All we needed now was a table. Trey and I ambushed Darby and Eliana at breakfast. "Can you make us a ping pong table?" Trey asked. "I'm not awake yet." "Did you say ping pong table?" Eliana replied with a yawn. "Here, peanut butter," Darby said, handing her a cup of coffee. She took a gulp and blinked at us. "All right, what is this about?" "Look, they sent us a ping pong paddles and balls," I said. I see," Eliana said with a wry look. "Where will it go?" "Oh, what about the recreation room?" Trey suggested. But that's going to take up a lot of space, Cy grumbled. The recreation room is supposed to be for fun, Darby pointed out. Please, I asked. Ileana looked at Cy. Come on, Cy, what's the harm in it? Fine, he huffed. Woohoo, Trey said, and we bumped fists. Everyone pitched in. Ileana helped us design it, and Darby found a large piece of plastic that made a perfect tabletop. Memes knit a net of purple yarn. Cy even let us use some plastic barrels for the base. The result didn't look as nice as the French ping pong table, but it worked, and that's all that mattered. That evening after supper, we kids played ping pong, and we laughed and smiled and had fun. It was perfect. Only one thing was missing. Our friends. I was sitting with Flossie and Vera in the recreation room watching a French didgeridoo. It had shown up that morning in the plastic box. Albie walked into the room. I need your advice, he said to Vera and Flossie. Vera waved her hand. Speak. I want to make a gift for Layla, Albie said, but I don't know what girls like. Well, what about flowers? Flossie suggested. We don't have any flowers here, Albie said. Well, we could make some, Flossie said. Algae paper flowers? Albie brightened. That's a good idea. Vera shook her head. Why would she want paper flowers when they grow real ones in the French settlement? I was confused. Wait, I said. I thought flowers were for friends. Flowers are romantic, Flossie said, for when you're in love. In love? Did that mean that Commander Laurent liked Cy? Maybe even loved him? In the end, Flossie convinced Albie to make Layla some chocolate fudge. Apparently, it was also an Earth tradition to give candy when you were in love. That sounded like a good tradition to me. Do you think she'll like it? Albie asked, staring at the perfectly wrapped package of fudge that he'd made. It was after supper, and we were all in the mess hall. Salty Bill had served the extra fudge for dessert. It was a delicious treat. Too bad Cy was missing out on it. He was up in the core working on something. It's candy, I told him. Oh, I'm sure she'll love it, Memes assured him. Remember the first present I gave you, Peanut Butter? Darby asked Ileana with a smile. Did you give her candy too? Flossie asked him. Ileana snorted. Pooh, I wish. He gave me a pair of boots. Boots? Vera asked. Yeah, she was complaining that her feet were cold, he said. So I asked a buddy who was coming to the lunar settlement from Earth to bring a pair of boots. Well, they were warm, I guess, Ileana said. You love those boots, Peanut Butter, he teased her, and she blushed. Cy walked into the mess hall with an expression I couldn't decipher. I just heard from command, he said. What do they have to say? Memes asked. Are they sending a kitten? I asked. I got a name all picked out. If they send a kitten, I want to choose the name this time, Vera said. No way, Trey said. You just will pick some sad name and make your kitten wear all black. Flossie snorted a laugh, and Vera glared at her. Here, Cy said, handing me his digislate. Read for yourself. I read it out loud. Date, October 13, 2091, from U.S. Territorial Command to Commander Dexter. Responding to Situation Report. You do not have authorization to liaise with hostile nations. Tensions remain high here. Cease all contact immediately. Request for kitten denied. Evelyn Morris, Commander, Mars Space Command, United States. No one said anything. It felt like all the air had been sucked out of the room. Cease all contact? Flossie whispered. Vera exploded. It's not fair, she shouted. And I agreed. And the kitten part just seemed kind of mean. Vera, Meme said. They didn't help us when we needed them the most, she shouted. It wasn't their fault. The launch window wasn't in our favor, Cy said. But there wasn't much conviction in his voice. It was like he was trying to convince himself. But why do we even have to listen to them? Vera demanded. Why? Because it's a direct order, Cy said. But my birthday's coming up, Vera cried. We were going to have a party and invite everyone.
You'll have other birthdays, Sai said. But I'm only going to turn 16 once. Memes leaned forward. Well, we'll have a cake, and I don't want a cake! I want my friends! Vera shouted. I'm sorry, Sai said. We'll have to listen to command. It's dumb! They're all dumb, and I hate them! Vera shouted. Albie just sat there, looking miserable. He stared at the pretty package of candy. Not much point now, I guess, he said, and he walked over to the trash can and tossed the box in. The next morning, Sai officially cut off contact with the other countries.